coming out. Again, we apologize for the confusion. We found out today about our room being in the wrong location and had to send that email out. So we probably will have a couple of struggles, but I want to go ahead and get started to have ample time for you all to absorb all this good information that you're going to get today. So let me first start by saying I'm Dr. Tyler, Andrea Tyler, and I'm the Director of Graduate Student Services and a Research Associate here at TSU. And so what this seminar is a part of is a series that I started about 5 years ago. I think I'm in my 5th year, where I came to TSU and there was very little programming for graduate students. Most graduate students came, took their class, and they left, and especially those that are on this downtown campus. And so through me interviewing students and finding out what students wanted, I created this series. And so the series basically is I invite speakers, I have hands-on workshops. I'm pretty sure y'all seen a lot of blasts from me over the last 5 years, where I bring in speakers where they talk about topics that are relevant to you all. So it's all about you all. Majority of the speakers I bring in, not majority, but all of them that I bring in, is because I get feedback from either you yourself sitting in this room or a collection of surveys that I've done across the years. And one of the things that has been embedded in almost every seminar in the last 5 years is writing. That has been the nemesis not only for students, but for your faculty advisors. And so, over these years, I've always tried to come up with, what can I do? How can I help? I have boot camps, I have this, I have that. And I'm thinking, you know what? Throwing things at this issue at a one-time kind of thing is not going to work. We really need to get down that bottom level and find out exactly what it is. What is that hang up? Most majority of you all, I'm assuming, are in master's or doctoral. I think the undergrad is tomorrow, so the majority of you all should be at a graduate level. And so I decided to call on some colleague friends of mine from UNC Charlotte. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, but let me just say that these gentlemen are near and dear to my heart. We share some like instances across an organization called the American Education Research Association, which is where I met these gentlemen. And through that and through engagement with other individuals, I found that this concept of writing that they had instilled or generated at UNC Charlotte, which is where they are housed, is a phenomenon. And so people are talking about it all over the country. Students talk about it, about how they get in. Come on in. There's some seats up here, some free up here. And so people have talked about all over the country how they have been able to go in at the graduate level, engage students, get students to be excited about writing, to understand the writer's block, to understand what it is to be this prolific and strong writer in your discipline. And so I'm like, well, let me just call on them and have them come and share this experience with us here at TSU. So I am so excited that they have taken out their time to come today and tomorrow. So let me just say there's a graduate session today. There's a graduate session tomorrow. There's an undergrad session tomorrow, and there's a faculty advisor session tomorrow. And so I want to hit at all areas while they were here. I'm trying to capitalize on everything they can offer us while they're here. My seminars are very engaging, and I know I can speak for them. We don't like to talk at students, but we talk with students. So make sure you have questions or anything. This is the time to ask, okay? Because no question is an unrelative question, because it could be a question that someone else has. So just make sure that you get all out of this that you can. Many of you I know, well, they'll probably ask this question, but I just want to know, how many of you are dissertating right now? Like at the end, dissertating, or how many of you all are writing articles, anything like that? Okay, great. So almost every hand should go up. Exactly students. So great. So again, take this opportunity to engage with them, and then without further ado, Dr. Lewis will be first, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Good evening. Oh, we can do better than that. Good evening.
Good evening.
So happy to be here with you today. Myself, along with Dr. Stephen Hancock, we're so delighted and happy to be here with you today. We flew in from Charlotte, North Carolina, a couple of hours ago. They ate at the world famous, what's the name of it? Monell's. Yeah, so we had to, recalibrate after that. But we're so excited to be here with you today. We're looking forward to an interactive and engaging session today. So as we get started, to get us going good before we talk a little bit about ourselves. We have room over here. We have some seats in the front, so feel free to come in. We want everybody to get close to the fire, so you can leave out writing as well. So just a little bit about myself. Currently, as you see on the screen, I was at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. I'm a proud HBCU alumni myself, so always glad to be on the HBCU campus. From the great state of Louisiana, went to Southern University with my undergrad, and went on, from that particular point as well. So, in looking at what we're going to do today, I want to start off the session with one question, 2 parts. Okay, I want you to talk to us about, just real briefly, what excites you about writing, and then what is the fear you have about writing, and then we'll introduce ourselves and get going. So we just want to just take a couple of hands as well so we can get started with that. So what excites you about writing first? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. We got one hand for excitement. Okay.
What excites me about writing is you can express yourself. You give the reader a sense of who you are and where you are in your life at this point, or where you've been.
Okay.
And what scares me is that if you knew me, I just keep going on and on and on and on. And someone have to say, whoa, stop. Thank you.
Okay, good. That's fine. Yes. Anybody else? Excitement about writing. Yes, sir.
What excites me is the opportunity to produce something that's original,
Okay.
that maybe people haven't considered before, but a fear I have is that my writing comes across as disorganized.
Okay. Okay. So disorganized. Okay. So that's fine. All of that is a part of it. So let's take one more, and then we'll get going introducing ourselves. Exciting about writing, fear of writing. Gotta be interactive with me. Yes.
Being creative with words, like the great charismatic leaders, and my fear is not doing it well.
Okay. Okay. Fear is not doing it well.
Yeah.
But the charismatic thing is attractive.
Right.
Okay. All right. We can work with that. Okay. So as we look at this, I want to give you this thought as we get going today. I want you to think forward and think about how will a publication look just from the sheer look of it with your name on it. How would that make you feel? I see a smile here. You start laughing when I said that. Just think about, people reading your work outside of your family. Just start there. Okay, your family's gonna be proud of you regardless. They're not gonna read it, right? But they're gonna be proud of it, right? Okay. But how would that make you feel?
Proud.
Proud. Why would it make you proud?
Just a sense of accomplishment, that you were able to learn and gather thoughts and be able to put it out there.
Okay. So you gather thoughts and put it out there. Anybody else? Why would you be proud? Why write? Because it's a requirement for grad school? Okay. I want you to think about that. That's one question I want you to think about. Okay? So we're going to introduce ourselves based on this because I want you to see our journeys. We'll talk about our journeys a little bit, and we're no different than any of you in the room. Okay? As I mentioned before, I'm from the great state of Louisiana. I always, push that we have the best food in the country, but today was real good. So, but like I said, I went to Southern University, been a teacher, before during my time there and moved on to different opportunities as well. So one thing I will say, and I commend Dr. Tyler, for having seminars like this, because as a doctoral student, I did not get this, okay? So if I would have had this at the time that you're getting this, I could think about how much more I could have done if I would have had this, okay? But so my journey has taken me from Louisiana to Colorado to Texas, right? And currently in North Carolina as well. So you never know where you're going to end up, but your writing can open doors that you have never thought about, okay? All right, so joining me today is Dr. Hancock. I'll let him introduce himself as well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
That's about 2 people. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, as you said, my name is Dr. Hancock. I'm also at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and my journey was from Virginia Commonwealth University to the Ohio State University, and now at UNC Charlotte. So my specialty in writing, my major was English with a minor in Latin, and I'm a grammatist, so I know how to make sentences work, all right? And so,
That means you need to see him after the session.
and so, yeah, any questions you will have for that, and in my session on tomorrow with the with some of the undergraduates, we will get into that. And if we need to, as Dr. Lewis said, you can ask me, and I will certainly jump in.
Okay? So I feel so confident about what we're going to do today. You could tweet live from the session, okay, based on what you're learning, okay? So as we get started with this, I'm going to start with the excuses people make about writing, okay? So I know this doesn't happen here at Tennessee State. We're just talking about other places I know and go to, okay? Excuse number one, okay? We're going to break it down, okay, since we're talking about other people that we know, okay? We're going to talk about the excuses, okay? So excuse number one is what?
I don't have time.
Have you heard that before from people at other institutions? Okay. Why don't they have enough time?
Because they don't make enough time.
She said because they don't make enough time, okay?
We haven't planned.
They don't have a plan, okay?
Haven't figured out how to manage our time.
Priorities,
Haven't figured out how to manage time well.
manage time, okay? Who else?
Afraid to try to make that.
Afraid to try to make time, okay? So, as we thought about in the title, right? Because I just want to know, just to make sure we're in the right place. The title said, and Dr. Tyler brought us here because somebody, I don't know who it is in the room, wants to be strong and prolific. Okay? I don't know who that is. But you can be strong, but then the and prolific part adds another layer. Okay? So, if you want to be strong and prolific, you can't roll with excuse number one. Okay? I don't have time. Okay? So, when we start to look at this, time is a valuable commodity, and the more that you write, or the more you have pressing deadlines for class, you're going to understand more and more the value of time. Okay? All right, let's look at excuse number two. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not a good writer. Anybody heard that one at other institutions before? Okay? So what makes people feel that way? We're just talking about other people. We're not talking about people in here. What makes people think they're not a good writer? Okay? Go ahead.
I said, because what they write's not good.
Okay. Say it's pretty clear in my eyes. I look at it, it's not good.
No, in their opinion.
In their opinion.
So I
Okay?
add that to that.
Okay? All right. So excuse number two is I'm not a good writer. Okay? Now, I've been teaching and doing this kind of work for a long time, okay? So I know we're talking about other people at other universities, but we're going to go with the honesty thing right quick, okay? How many of you at least one time in your grad program has felt this way with excuse number two? And it's okay. You know, we're going to acknowledge it here, but we're going to solve it today before we leave. Okay? Okay? So in the thoughts of I'm not a good writer, okay? I wanna put something else on your mind with this excuse. Maybe you have that thought that you're not a good writer because maybe somebody did not necessarily tell you that. You just think that they think that. And then based on that thought, then that makes you hesitant. Okay? So one thing we're going to talk about and we're going to learn is in order to be strong and prolific, right, you're going to have to develop thick skin in writing. Okay? So we're going to come to that. Okay? So let's look at excuse number 3. I don't have support. Anybody heard that one before? Okay? So what kind of support would you need? Because, you know, you have Dr. Tyler here, you know, with the support services. So what kind of support would people at this institution need to become strong and prolific from your thought? What would you need?
Someone to review what you've written.
Okay.
What was that?
Okay.
Someone to review what you've written.
Okay.
Okay. So someone to review what you've written. Okay. Good thought.
Feedback from your professors.
Okay. Feedback from your professor. That's an interesting
Respectfully
thought.
said.
Okay. Respectfully said. Okay. Duly noted. Okay. All right. Feedback. Okay. What else?
Validation.
Validation. Okay. Tell me what kind of validation.
No matter where you are in writing, you get validated and encouraged to move forward
Okay.
from that point.
Okay. Encouragement to move forward. You can do it. Okay. Okay. So Dr. Hancock will tell you all the graduate students that we have. Everyone walks in the door. They walk in. Oh, say I don't want to hear that. You can do this. But, you know, we kind of go further. You have no other option. This is what it's going to be, right? Okay? Well, this is what we're talking about. But support, so reviewers, feedback, and validation. Okay, good points that we want to make sure that we consider as well. Excuse number 4. I don't know what to write. My professor said write a paper. How do I know what to write? Anybody had that before? Raise your hand. It's okay. We're in the acknowledgement phase of the presentation. We're coming clean. Okay? Okay? So why don't we know what to write?
Expectations are unclear.
Okay, expectations are unclear. Okay? All right, that's good. Anything else?
The topic is really broad.
Okay. Can you give me an example?
Well, okay, I'll give you an example, a
Yes.
real life example from my
Yeah, let's
first
get it out.
college
Get it
class.
out. Get it out. Get it out. I knew it was there.
My professor asked us to write a 10-page paper on the meaning of life. So like, where do you even start? Like, that's too broad of a topic.
Okay.
Like, it's a really hard thing for an 18-year-old to think about.
The meaning of life. Okay, so where would I start the meaning of life, right? What about life? Right? Okay, but as we start to look at this, that's a valid point, right? Okay, I don't know what to write. So these are things that we're going to explore as well. So, excuse number 5 so we can roll on. I don't know where to get started, kind of what you just said. So, we can hang around the area of I don't know what to write, I don't know where to get started, and then the deadline comes, right? And then we get more and more stressed, right? Okay? So, how is it that stress level goes up closer to the deadline, even though you knew about it back there, right? Okay? We're not talking about us, we're talking about right? Okay? But we want to just think about that. So what we're going to do today, as we get started, I'm going to give you and lay out with Dr. Hancock's help 10 strategies, okay, that I think are very important for you to consider as we move forward. And we're going to talk them through, make sure you get them. I wish we were here longer because, you know, we'll do like we had ours, where we'll just all break out and write in here, you know, and I'm college by the time we hit the door, right? Okay, but that's just how we roll. But we're going to start with the strategies first. So here's what we want you to do to make it interactive, okay? As we talk through these, You know, you take a picture of the slide, talk about your own situation, okay? All right? But every comment that you bring up has to have a solution that's tied to it, okay? Because we don't hang around the excuse stage, right? The solution stage, because to become strong and prolific, one of the things that you will find out, okay, is that you'll only at this level be known by what you produce, okay? I want to say that again, right? You will only be known by what you produce, okay? The grad level and beyond is about producing, okay? Anybody can talk, right? Anybody came up to you before and said, you know, you want to hear about what I'm thinking about? I can say good. Okay, but it's about producing, okay? So, let's look at the strategies. Strategy 1. First thing we need you to understand is your why related to writing. So why do you write? Okay, what are you bringing to the table to understand your why for even sitting down to even engage in the process, okay? Because I want to put it out there, if you're only writing to fulfill a course requirement, you're going to just continue to stress yourself out, okay? Your why has to be a situation where something, and I put it in these points for you to consider, it has to be something that must bother you so much, right, that you are so focused on solving that issue, okay? So whatever your respective academic discipline is, what is it in that field that is bothering you so much, okay, that if you don't get it out of you, it will frustrate you, okay? And to get it on paper, okay? All right, so that's one point, okay? The fire in the belly part of the writing, okay? Does it wake you up in the morning or force you to stay up late at night, okay? Or as I tell my students, I have them look out of the window and I say, who is waiting on you to finish this graduate program so you can benefit their life? I want you to think about that, okay? Because one thing that is cool, how many people are in the PhD program? Raise your hand. Okay, a few master's programs, okay? So it's cool at graduation when you walk across the stage and they put all that stuff around your neck. Don't you feel so smart, right? You ever been to one of those graduations? I started to show the video, but I thought that was too much. So they put, you know, especially with the PhD, they put all this stuff around your neck, but they're about to choke you. Right? So you just feel smart and intelligent, right? The masters, you know, because the graduation is not like undergrads, right? Undergrads, they just say your name, you run across, right? But with the graduate level, they take their time real slow. Dr. Chance Lewis, right? Okay? So when you look at this, what is your fire in the belly that makes you want to solve something that makes society better in your respective field? Okay? Also, I want you to understand, and this is going to be a shocker, Tennessee State is not the only school awarding PhDs and master's degrees. I know that's a shocker, but why is that important? Okay, because that's your competition after you leave here. Okay? So here's the reason why you cannot be scared. And why you have to be prolific since we've met each other. This is our school, with the students that we have, right? They're going to get the same degree that you're going to get, right? A master's or a PhD. But what stands out? Okay? What stands out? What makes them stand apart, or what will make you stand apart is the products that you produce while in the program. Because when you go on the market, that's your competition. What's your name? Christian. Williams. Okay. So Christian Williams, you're in the master's. Okay? So he graduated with his master's, right? And let's just say a student graduated from UNC Charlotte where we are with a master's, okay? So what separates the two? Products, okay? So what if one student with us graduates with a master's degree and 20 publications, and he graduates with a master's degree? Will a different viewpoint be looked at? Okay? This is what we want you to think about, okay? So, for those of you, anybody want to be professors when they leave here? Anybody? No professors in the room? One, okay, the future is bright. Okay? Just so you could know, this is one field, but we can pull for any field, right? When professor positions come on across the country, the average is 70 applications for every position. What makes you stand out? Okay? I want you to think about this, okay? A desire to be a key contributor to the field, because when you start to look at this, I want you to think about it like this, because I don't consider myself the most talented writer, okay? But one thing I do know, nobody's down outwork me, okay, to get it out, okay? So one of the things that you have to do is have in your field, whatever your field is, if it's that important to you about what the fire in the belly is, okay, you have to have what I call a takeover mentality. I'm taking over the field. It is now mine. Because the passion that I'm bringing to the table is so big, I have to see it better, okay? So as you start to look at this, okay, publications don't happen by happenstance. They happen because of passion, okay? So, Dr. Hancock, you want to add in?
Yeah, so what you want to begin to think about, especially in grad school when you get a prompt or you get a question, you have to find yourself in the issue. You can't say, this question doesn't fit me. You have to find yourself. As Dr. Lewis was saying, that fire in the belly, no matter what happens, no matter what question you give me, I'm going to run to my passion, no matter what it is. You can tell me rocket science. I'm going to run to my passion and find out that there's some diversity issues in rocket science, right? And I'm going to write from that issue. What is your issue? There's no more excuses, oh, that's not me, or that's not me. I'm not STEM, but if you're talking, if I had to write in STEM, yes, I have had to write, I'll go right to what my passion is, diversity. I'm going to go right there and say, where's the diversity in STEM? Who is not represented in STEM, right? Because that's who I am. And it's also like in any type of dinner conversation, any dinner cocktail party, when everybody's talking. So if you're ever in a cocktail party with a lot of physicians, you're probably thinking, okay, I can't conversate, right? Or I can't converse with these physicians. However, you can, you just pull them onto your passion. So when you're thinking about writing, the fire in your belly will never leave. The question is, how do you get it out, right? And how do you find yourself in any issue, any topic, especially the ones that are thrown at you in writing school, especially for the master's students. So I would say to you is really find yourself, understand what your passion is, and then no matter what the topic is, even if it's life. Now, of course, 18-year-old writing about life is kind of big. So even if they say write about life, the first thing I go, no matter how big that topic is my passion, right? So as Dr. Lewis was saying, find the passion. Who are you? Right? What keeps you up?
Okay. Thank you. So let's do a test. So somebody verbalize what their fire in the belly is, what their passion is right now, that they can't wait to graduate because they have to solve the issue, because if they don't solve the issue, it's going to eat them up inside. Who's ready to tell us? You might as well solve it today. You're going back to Charlotte tomorrow. So.
Several
Okay,
tolerances in the school system and how they affect the education on juveniles who commit delinquencies.
Okay, give me a little more passion with it though.
Changing the way the systems views the delinquencies in the charges that these children receive, and how that affects their schooling. For example, a child could have a zero tolerance infraction and be 15 years old, and then he gets suspended for 2 years. We're setting up this child to say, hey, you know what? You got 2 years to be a real thug, because what you did is just delinquent. So I think that changing and kind of convincing the school system, the lawmakers, that we need to reform how we address delinquency of minors.
So let me tell you how we handle that, okay? So think about all the students across the country that are the victims of zero tolerance policies, okay? What if they're waiting on you to finish your program? And what you are able to produce to actually change the policies in the entire country based on the work that you produce.
I'm scared.
But what if the world is waiting? Because the issue has not been solved. So what if it's you, right? So when I said what wakes you up in the morning, whatever that passion is for you that you bring to the table, you have to get it down, because I will put it out there and I will not hesitate on it. It will not change if it's not written. A lot of people talk about it, but it will not change unless it's written, okay? So let me show you what passion looks like, okay? So when you think about passion, when I was in grad school, when I graduated from the great Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I navigated to Colorado State University. You know, just the change from Louisiana to Colorado is a great difference in a lot of ways. Okay? When you think of the future. Okay? All right. So, but based on that, I had some great professors. But I remember one when I did my first paper. He said, "This is probably not the place to be." Right? And I said, "Ooh." But I also understood he did not understand who he was dealing with either. Okay, because I went to the school understanding the passion. Okay, I can get the technique and the skill. Okay, but let me tell you, when something overrides what you're talking about with somebody else's opinion, then we look at how passion takes over. So now let's look 18 books later. Okay? Because my topic is focused on making a difference for African American students, right? So what we're talking about today, we cannot just say it cannot be done. I told you I'm no different than anybody in this room, right? But what I'm talking about 18 books later, right, is the passion that you're bringing to the table, okay? So, if I use myself as an example, or use Dr. Hancock as an example, you have to have a mindset of, I will not be denied. Okay? So if they say your work is not good, so what? Keep working at it. Okay? And these are some things that we want you to think about. Okay? So let's go to the next thing. Okay? Managing yourself and the demands on your time. So how many people say, I just don't have enough time? Okay, raise your hand. Okay? Do you understand what's going on in my life? Apparently, you don't understand because you live in Charlotte. You don't know how things are in Nashville. Okay? I mean, you know, we have real demands on our time in Nashville. You know, everybody does not work at Opryland. Okay? So, you know, we got to do it. Okay? So let's look at this thing. Okay? How do we successfully manage the time? Okay, let's start with you first. So we're going to deal with you first, and then we're going to deal with the techniques. Okay? All right, so let's look at this. Strong self-discipline. Okay? Do you have the ability to have self-discipline? Okay? There should not be, if you want to be strong and prolific, okay, there should not be a day where you do not write, even if it's not good. Okay? Self-discipline. All right, so let's deal with the conditions first. Where do you write best? Okay? Is it at home? Is it at a coffee shop? Okay, wherever that is, you need to figure out what's that space for you. Okay? Let me put this out there too. What do you need to get in your zone? Okay, I know most people are, you know, they have to have a certain kind of rhythm. You know, I need my laptop here.
Yes.
I need my coffee here. Right? I need the music playing from over here. Right? Whatever it takes you to get in your zone. Right? Okay? But then here's the other thing. Okay? Now let me tell you if I'm speaking to anybody in here, because you know, we could test that I don't know anybody in here. Right? Okay? Let me just see if I'm speaking to you. Right? So when you get in your zone, right, do you actually stay in your zone? Okay? Or do you look up and you're on Facebook? You're on Twitter, you're on Snapchat, you know what I mean? But you're in your zone, right? Every music, coffee, laptop, all of that, right? So what happens when you're in the zone and you're not productive in the zone? Okay? I want us to think about that. Okay? Because what you have to be able to do is how do you handle distractions? Okay? Because if you're only known by what you produce, even if you got in your zone and don't produce anything, that's just as worse as not doing anything at all. Okay? Understand necessary and unnecessary distractions. So in the zone, I know I'm an early morning writer. I know Dr. Hancock is a late night writer. Okay? So we don't function on the same way, right? Okay, but that's okay. Because at the end of the day, it's about what? Production. Okay? So if we start to look at schedules, you know, so I'm married, I have kids, you know, we got demands, you know, they have demands in Charlotte. Okay? You know, so one thing I know for me, you know, no matter what, my kids are gonna wake up, my two daughters are gonna wake up at 7 a.m., but that's when no alarm clock goes on. Okay? So what I do, okay, 6 days a week, 3 a.m., 7 a.m., I'm in the zone, right? Including the day before we got here, right? Okay? Each and every day, okay? Because the house is quiet, everybody's asleep, distraction of it, because at 7 a.m., life changes, okay? You could test when we get to the office, right? I can't write an article in the office because all the students are coming in, everybody needs something, okay? But did you get your time in? Okay? So however you structure your day, you gotta think about it. Okay? So how do you handle your night writing?
So for me,
Because I'm asleep.
I put the family down. My family goes down, the 3 kids, and my wife are down by 10:30, 11. And I'm up from 11 till 3.
Oh my God.
But I'm a night owl, so I sleep. And then I don't get up with them because they old enough to get up with themselves. And they all go to the same school as my wife works. So she gets up with them and get them all together. They come in and say, "Good God, Dad," and I say. And so that's how that works. So once they're asleep, I mean, I write and I write and write and write for a good 4 straight hours. And then I
You
go
do that?
up for bed.
How long?
A good 4 straight hours, yeah.
All right. Let's just poll the crowd. Have anybody in the room ever written for 4 hours in one day?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. See, I was in my zone. I had the computer, the coffee, and the music. And then something finally came to me the last 15 minutes of that. Start coming. No, I'm just kidding. But as we start to look at that, you can do it. Okay? It's how you handle the schedule. Okay? So it may not be 11 to 3 a.m. or 3 to 7, you know. Whatever your time is, this is what we want you to do. But let's talk about the handling of distractions. Because pretty much for everybody, for the writer, you got personal commitments that you got to deal with. You know, some of you have family commitments, okay? Work, life, you know, trying to balance. And then, you know, those of you working on the thesis or dissertation, okay? So what we want you to think about as you start to think about these things, if you don't leave out of this room with nothing else, right? I want you to plan your writing schedule, okay? And here's what you have to do, because I do it all the time. You have to put it in your calendar. That is your writing time. You have to make an appointment with yourself. Because otherwise our natural tendency is to say, I'll do it tomorrow. Okay? And here's one of the things I found what happens with the graduate students that I have. The ones that have the most commitments usually are the most productive. The reason why, they don't have time to waste. Okay? Because I know in this moment, this is all the time I have.
Yeah.
So I have to write right here or it will not happen. Okay? I really became productive when we had kids. Right? Because that was it. I learned how to hold my daughter like this, right? Then turn her wrist and type on the keyboard at the same time. The skills you gotta do. Okay? So as you start to look at this, we want you to think through these things, as well. So, also you gotta have stress reduction. So let me just poll while, what's your official time?
How
many at this university?
Everybody has.
The 10 has, but the support services.
Yes, support services. That's what
Okay, we're gonna just focus on the support services. Okay. Just so she can see as a visual, how many of you have some level of stress in graduate school? Raise your hand. Or can you say, I'm stressed out? Raise your hand. Okay. Hold them up. Okay? All right. So, I want to propose one more seminar, right? How do you handle stress and produce at the same time? Okay? Yeah, we'll pull that out tomorrow, right? All right, but here's another thing. Okay? Since we all have a limited amount of time, you just admitted you're stressed out, okay? You got life demands, you got work demands, you got grad school demands, okay? So I'm coming to school with this triple stressed outness, okay? Then they're asking me to produce, okay? So what you gotta do is also have to figure out what would be your me time, okay? Now your me time cannot be 24 hours. But you have to find an outlet to get you out of the zone so you can get back in the zone, if that makes sense. Okay? So for me, my stress reduction time is I'm a cyclist. Okay? I cycle far, right? Because I got a lot on my mind. Right? Okay? But some people handle their stuff illegally. Not gonna touch that. But mine is cycling. So I may cycle for like 80 miles. That's a long way. I gotta get all this stuff out, because I come back a better person. Okay? And remember, we got grad students too who are stressed out, right? Okay? But the thing is, one thing they know, they cannot graduate from us, right? Without having a plethora of publications. Okay? So we talk about graduate students graduating with 15, what we were talking about Amber the other day on the path, about 25 publications. At graduation. You say, I'm stressed out. Good, keep going. Okay? So this is what we're talking about. So this is what we're talking about. You can do this. Okay? So when you look at this, if it's exercise for you, personal reading, vacation, hobbies, social time with friends. Now let me tell you something with this, right? Okay? Let's talk about your friends. Okay? Your friends can't just be other grad students. Why is that? Because when y'all get together, you're going to do what? Stress each other out. Right? Yes. I'm so stressed. Are you stressed? No, but I'm starting to feel it. Right? See, you got to be like me. You got to have some friends that don't even believe I do what I do. You don't really do that. Yes, I do. You don't? All right, cool. All right. But what I'm saying to you is that you have to have something that kind of takes your mind away legally, and then so you can come back. Okay? They got the camera in here, so I just want to put that. Strategy 3, organizing yourself, okay? So now we're zoning in, so we're going to organize ourselves now, okay? So, the mindset of the scholar, okay? So we talked about organizing your schedule for productivity. And we want you to think about writing days and writing blocks of time, okay? Because some of you, for those of you who are writing a dissertation or a thesis, you know, you're gonna say things like, well, today I'm gonna sit down and write the thesis, because they, you know, they stressing me out, so I'm gonna sit down today and write the whole thesis. Tell me how that works out. It's a marathon, not a sprint, okay? So let me suggest something to you that could be manageable. What if you wrote 2 pages a day for 5 days a week? How many pages would that be a week? Okay, come on, you know. 2 pages, 5 days a week. How many pages would that be? 10. Interesting. And it's 4 weeks in a month, right? How many would that be? 4. Interesting. So in 2 months, how many would that be? 8. Interesting. 3 months. Interesting. 4 months. I'm getting a little worried with the math.
Red light challenge, I'm sure.
But you see the point that I'm making? Steady progress over time, because it's always easier to edit than to create. Okay? But you got to get it down first. Well, so what if you created this and your goal was to do a little bit each day, and it's scheduled in your time block, and then once you fulfill your commitment, you could go and live life. Okay? Because when I get to the office, or Dr. Hancock get to the office, you know, I'm like, hey, let's do it, you know. Because I know my part is done. I'm feeling good. When I come out of the 4 a.m., 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. block, okay, the task is accomplished. Okay? But as you start to look at that, make an appointment with yourself. Okay? Multitasking, but developing a system. Okay? Some of you are grad students, you know, you may know some other work study students, some friends here. You know, you develop a team. Okay? You develop a system for productivity. Okay? So what you got to think about, and I'll put this out here, even if your faculty advisor doesn't necessarily create that system, you could create it as graduate students. Okay, because what we have with our graduate students, you know, once they know what the task is, then they get together to figure out how they're going to accomplish the task. Okay? And they develop their own systems to put it together. Okay? So write it down. What is my system for writing? Okay? Because remember, if you dig back into the passion, I would truly believe the thesis and or the dissertation will not solve the passion for you. That's the gateway to the passion. Okay? So we want you to think about that. Any questions so far? Yes.
What time do you go to bed in the evening?
That's a great question. All right. No, I'm down about 11. And when he's cranking up, I'm going down.
You get more sleep on
Is what it is? What's that?
You catch up on sleep on the weekends?
If the passion is there, you know, sleeping, you know, I can sleep later. I mean, I'm gonna sleep good tonight because I ate at. But I'm gonna be back up again in the morning because I have some complete in my time. Okay? Because even though we're here, the task still has to be accomplished. Okay? So I want you to think about that. Okay? All right. Strategy 4. A research agenda. Let's talk about that. All right. So when we talk about a research agenda, we want you to think about what do you want to be known for in your work. Okay, so when they say your name, okay, you're building a brand right now. Okay? Now it's either going to be a positive brand or a negative brand. Okay? Can I let you all in on a little secret? Faculty members talk. Can I let you in on that? Okay? Can I let you in on another secret too? Students talk. Okay? So we can say the name of a student. I can say, wow, great, great writer. Or Say your name of another student. But with students, Professor A, great professor. Professor B, yeah. So everybody's talking, right? Everybody's building a brain, right? But at the end of the day, right? Okay? They award degrees to people who have what? Produced. Okay? So, like I tell my students, this is the famous line I give them. I just use the name of the institution, but I'm gonna just substitute that. Tennessee State will have graduations every year, I guarantee. It's just a matter if you are gonna participate. Okay? They have had them before you were born. They're gonna have them after you check out. The question is, will you be in one of them? But they still gonna have it. Okay? So when we talk about research agenda, we're talking about building a brand of your scholarly work so you can be known for it. Okay? So let's walk through that as well. So establishing your research agenda. So we talked about the area of work you want to be known for. I put ballpark because coming in, y'all saw Tennessee Titans Stadium, right? So how can we relate that to research agenda? There are several types of tickets you can buy, right? If you want to be close to the action, right? Cost a little more than the nosebleed seats, right? Okay, so if you use that analogy for your research agenda, the tickets that you buy that are close, those are the things that are most passionate to your heart. Okay? The zero tolerance policy. Okay? Whatever that is that keeps you up at night, no matter what happens, you always will want to write or talk about or whatever around that particular topic. Okay? But then you may meet some people. Okay? And you may come up with some mutual projects that may fall in the nosebleed section for you. Okay? Still at the game, just not as close to your heart, but you're still right on these particular topics. Okay? So these are things, but in your research agenda, I want you to think about this. I'm gonna show you how this works, right? I'm gonna ask Dr. Hancock a question related to research agenda. Your focus research agenda has to be specific. Okay? Here's what I mean by that. Okay? You know how they talk about elevator speeches? Okay? You have to know what you're passionate about, what you write about. Okay? So Dr. Hancock, tell us your research agenda.
My research is based on ethnographic studies with an emphasis on identity in international and urban spaces.
Now, some of you are like, I don't even know what that is. But it sounds good. Right? Okay. That's all right, as long as you know what you're passionate about. Okay? Now, he didn't even know I was going to ask him the question, right? But it has to be right there waiting for you, right? So if I come down the road, which we may do in a little bit, just because we could test and see what your research agenda is. Okay? Okay. Anybody want to volunteer there? Silence hovers the room. Okay, but I want you to think about that, okay? Because that's going to be important. So this agenda will be accomplished whether your work is solo or collaborative. Okay? Think about the ballpark analogy. Okay? So as you think about this, and you start to put these things down, you know, my heart is, Dr. Hancock's heart is, Dr. Tyler's heart is that you leave the room today truly knowing what you're passionate about, but then how you're going to produce from that. Okay? That's going to be very, very important no matter what the field is as well. Okay? Making sense to everybody?
Yes.
Good stuff?
Yes.
They're recording it? Okay? So, when you talk about your research agenda, you could list things that are in your field. So, this is just an example. So, these are just some from the education field, but you can plug in from your discipline. You look at the topic, and then the way your mind has to work would be, okay, so what's some of my research agenda possibilities around the topic? Okay, then I think dissemination, or what am I going to produce from that? Okay, all right, so after you leave today, just from this session, by the time we're done at 7, okay, your mind will be triggered. Everything that you see, you will think production. Okay, what can I produce from that? Okay, we're gonna show you some examples, right? Okay, and we're gonna talk about how to get mileage from your publications as well. But so you can substitute this with any of your topics, right? And think through the plan. Okay, so that leads us to strategy number 5 as we walk through this. Now we'll get field specific. Know the publication outlets and what your field values. Okay, so how many of you know some of the publication outlets in your field? Raise your hand. Okay, can you tell us some of them?
Journal of Speech and Hearing Sciences.
Okay, Journal of Speech and what?
Hearing Sciences.
Okay, Hearing Sciences, okay. Anybody else give us some other outlets in your field?
Journal of Music Education.
What is it?
Journal of Music Education.
Okay, music education, okay. Any others? Only 2 people in the room know? Okay,
Journal
that will
of
be the next
Internet-
seminar, Dr.
Right, I was gonna say, wow.
Right, okay, okay,
Journal of International Education, Higher Education,
okay,
Science, Journal Horticulture.
okay. So horticulture, okay. I saw a hand over there,
Chronicles of Higher Education.
okay. Is that a publication outlet? Okay,
Journal of Psychology.
okay, psychology, okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Public Administration Review.
Okay, public administration review, okay? So homework number 1, okay? You have to know the outlets in your field. The reason why, okay? Because you can't write if you don't know where you're gonna send it, okay? So homework number 1, okay? So you get part 2 tomorrow, if you come tomorrow, right? You need to know all the major outlets in your field, okay? Because once you get ready to submit your work, you will know which outlets gives you the best chance of getting your work in, because you have examined what they publish. Okay? So we want you to think about that, because that's very, very important. So I would say if you don't do anything else outside of organizing your schedule, know your publication outlets. That's very, very important. Okay? So how do you find these things out? Talk with your faculty advisors, okay, colleagues, the librarians, collaborators about these outlets. Understand what they publish and devise your strategy, okay? So what we do back in Charlotte with our students, we had this big whiteboard, and we lay out all the projects. So we got it in the board format and the electronic format in Google Docs, right? Okay? And we know where everything is going, and everything has a date that is going out the door. Okay? So for you, as you think about your strategy, you got to think about, where am I going to send work, and when is it going out of the door? Firm date. Okay? Because if not, it's just going to hover around. Okay? So just think about that. Okay? 6. The hierarchy of publications and their value in higher education, or whatever your field is, okay? Because if you're gonna be known as a producer, so let's just say you're in the sciences, okay? And it may not be the journal article that's the hierarchy in your field, okay? Maybe a technical reports, or whatever it is, but you know what the hierarchy of publications is, because based on that, then that's how you can devise your strategy for where you're going. Okay? So knowing these things are just important, because I will say, if you just finished with a dissertation or just a master's, our students are coming for you. They're coming for real. Okay? They're coming for the keeper. I'm telling you, that's their mindset. The takeover has hit Charlotte. Okay? But what I'm saying to you though, to counteract that, you could just do the same thing that they're doing. Understand the fee, okay? Understand the outlets. Understand the value of production, okay? So knowing the hierarchy of the publications in the field as well. So in field, so I'll use my example of education, okay? No matter what university, if you're in the field of education, the platinum standard will always be the referee journal article, okay? whatever state it is, doesn't matter, okay? You're at the university and you're in the field of education, the referee journal article will always be number one. But with a very, very close number two would be the ability to get money. Right, Dr. Thomas? Because when you show the ability that you can get money, you can do things that other people cannot do. Because there is no university in the country that says we cool, we have enough money. No university. So if you have the ability to show that you can get money based on things that you start doing now, okay, that will catapult you. Okay? Because when you look at what can you do as a student, okay, you need to be scanning around and say, who can I partner with who has the ability to maybe get money if this is my field I'm going to, okay? And if you really knew Dr. Tyler, you would be knocking at her door for real, okay? But knowing the hierarchy. So journal articles will always be number one, but with a close second is this. And then you go into the books, you know, book chapters, you know, reports, briefs, you know, conference procedure. And I tell my students, this one right here, conference presentation, okay? The reason why that's at the bottom, because everybody loves to get up and talk. Okay? Now for the students, most of them, I've gotten a little easier on this, but I used to have a hard factor. You can't even present unless the paper is done. Because it's easy to talk about what you have done versus what you're thinking about. Okay? So what we're saying to you is once you understand the hierarchy, so if your field is the conference proceeding or the reports, you just shift it around based on your particular field as well, but understand that as well. So also, what I want you to think about too, since now that you've had the, you know, the Lewis and Hancock experience, right? Okay? I want you to think mileage, okay? So I want you to think like this, okay? So let's do an example real quick. Let's go back to our example of zero tolerance, okay? I want us, for our interactive exercise for today, now that you know the topic, I want you all to help her with what she can do to meet every category on the screen. So talk to us how we can do that. Let's break it down. This is how you're going to have to break down your field, your topics. So what could be a journal article that she can do? In education, this is what we call teacher wait time. What could she do?
Can she refresh us on her topic again?
Okay, refresh us on your topic.
Yeah. What I'm fired up about is about how the, I'm gonna call them consequences of zero tolerance are handled at, when juveniles commit delinquencies, and how that affects their education life.
All right, everybody got it? That's all you need to know. You don't need more than that. Okay? All right, talk about some articles that could come from that. Yes.
I'll jump out there. What about a series of interviews?
Okay. On what?
With people that have been affected by this, how it's really affected them, what's going on for them.
Okay, good. So what we're gonna do, that's one. We're not leaving this until we get to 10 products. Okay, so that's one. Okay,
Kind of
give me the-
piggybacking off of that, she could do some case studies maybe, or, at places not just in the educational field, but in, maybe some alternative homes, or, you know, other institutions outside of the educated students everywhere.
Okay.
So maybe she can get together with whoever is the director of the facility where the students are, who will follow under this category of residential, and then try to do, like she said, interviews, and then conduct some kind of case study, get together that information, do some interviews with the students, protecting them by not using their name, coming up with bogus name or whatever, and then compile all those into a article to have empirical data of what it is that she's talking about, and in fact, this is a problem that exists. And what she speculates might be some of the, ways of trying to get it resolved.
Good, you're getting warm, that's two, all right, let's go.
If you look at, graduation rates of juvenile delinquents and, versus like GEDs versus like what are the opportunities they have for a high school education if you're, depending on what age you're looking at. And then go from there.
Okay, good, that's three, let's go forward, we need 10.
Juvenile.
You got 3 minutes to get to 10.
Juvenile delinquency and, education rehabilitation.
Okay, all right, that's how many, 4? Okay,
Journal of Social Psychology, and look at some of the case studies that someone's done. They have a lot of different studies, a lot of different research that have been done on social behavior.
all right, keep going, yes.
So I would be interested in studying the retention of college students who have been caught with drug and substance abuse on college campuses. So I think I would try to produce an article around that and also see if I could get a grant to bring in some sort of retention program to rehabilitate non-serious drug offenders. Because why should we kick out a kid who's got some fun?
Okay, and then once I get the grant, what do I do with it from there?
Then we use that money towards the program, we write about the success of the program.
Okay, then we do what after that?
Write an article.
We write an article, then what else? We gotta get all of this.
Use some of that grant funding to start a project to kind of help this problem, help solve the problem.
Okay, help solve the problem, okay, keep going, okay. What else do we need to do? Yes.
Maybe attend a conference
Okay.
on juvenile.
And what we do at the conference? Do we just go or do we present? Okay, good. Okay, all right, so you present at the conference, right? Okay, now let me just roll off a couple other things, okay? Just based off of the topic, okay? Then you can issue a report based off of what we learned on all these different studies, because remember, everybody does not read journal articles, right? Because your mind has to be, I am an information provider, okay? So we write a report to reach that group. We could write articles in magazines that people who are affected by this. We could do a guide for parents or showing them how to get their students to graduate, even though they were kicked out because of zero tolerance policy. Okay? We write blog posts. We can do all these kind of things. If you're every category that's on here, one project, multiple miles. That's how your mind has to work. You see an idea, you develop it, and you cover all the areas that are important. Okay? That's how you take over. Okay? That's how you help. Okay? So out of all the things I wrote, okay, before, books, articles, all those things, right? Since I focus on African American students, there's this one publication, right, in the African American community that's widely accepted, called Ebony Magazine. I wrote like a 750-word short version. My phone rung off the hook. Okay? Now they appeared in all these other places. But this is the dissemination outlet where the most impact was, so I had to go there. Okay? Because if the person outside walking in the street cannot understand what you do, I will say you don't understand what you do. Because you have to be able to disseminate in the way that meets the need. If you just publish it and get a journal article and nobody ever reads it, what good is it? That's how you got to think about it. So, one project, multiple miles. Okay? And as you think about whatever that passion is that you have for yourself, no matter where people look, okay, in social media, you can control information. You have to think of yourself as an information provider that is solution oriented, okay? Okay? So as you look at this, so let's talk about the plan of attack. Okay? Specific plan of attack with specific timeline. So remember, if we use the students in Charlotte analogy, they got the whiteboard and the Google Docs, and they already know what days they're going out. Okay? So if you start to think about all these things that you're gonna do, let no dust settle on any paper that you write for class. I want to say that one slow. Let no dust settle on any paper that you write for class. Okay? You know that paper you wrote that you really didn't want to write? Okay? Your mind should now be leaving out of this room today. What can I do with this? One project, multiple miles. Where does it need to go? Where do I need to pull from this to disseminate this out to publish? Okay? You get the feedback from the professor. Okay? Let me give you another little shocker. Okay? Well, as you think these multiple forms of dissemination, it's okay. You will get rejected. Okay? I want to say that nice and clear. When you submit stuff, you will get rejected. The first article I ever wrote, off of my dissertation, I submitted it to the German person, wrote back in so many words, this is probably the worst thing I've ever read in my life. Now, you know, right there, I was ready to turn it in. I'm done. Right? But it's all how you handle rejection. Right? Because as soon as somebody else says no, turn it around, and you're going to see that in a minute. Okay? But you want to think about all these places where you can put things. Okay? 8, your writing plan. Okay? Consistent writing. Okay, we talked about this. Makes the difference. Right? You can edit later. Okay? Get that. Make assignments for yourself every day. So don't just go to your comfort zone area where you write, but you have to go there the day before you go there. You have to have the assignment for when you get there. So I already know what I have to do tomorrow morning when I get up at 3. You have to make an assignment for yourself. Okay? Class paper, publication, product, whatever. You have to have a kind of discipline to make sure that you put out there what you need to do. Okay? Like we said, that takeover mindset, that's part of this building there. Okay? Number 9, right? Collaborate with others. And the reason why I show this picture, because these are a few of my friends, right? And I'm explaining the principles first, okay? Before I explain the picture. We're talking about now, strategy 9 is collaborate. Successfully collaborate with others. Rule number 1, you cannot write with everybody. So what I want you to understand, there are going to be some people in your class that you like. You can't write with them. Okay? Now, y'all can be cool. You just can't write with them. So what you need to be doing is scanning the room to see who are the people that have, like we have right here, a similar mindset. Okay? Because if I'm functioning, okay, in the mindset of I'm going to produce no matter what, we have this takeover mindset, I'm also looking for other people who have that same kind of mindset. Because we could be writing partners. Okay? Now, my friends are my friends, but I don't write with my friends. That makes sense? I write with colleagues. Okay? So, in this group, they did a feature story on us in this magazine called Diversity Issues in Higher Education. And all 5 of us, we met in grad school, just like at the point you are now. And all the different universities, okay? But we decided at that point we were going to write projects together and do what we call the full takeover. We're going to just take over the country. Full takeover, right? So as graduates, we said, and knowing kind of what we want to do in higher ed, all of us will be distinguished full professors with endowed professorships and research centers. We made a pact with each other at that point. Okay? So I would say they did the feature story because out of the 5 have produced probably more than most faculties at any university. Research, grant money, all the things that go with it. Right? But what I'm saying to you is, if you're looking at who you collaborate with, you want people of similar mindsets that are doing things as well. Okay? Fine, let's go to 10, so we get the questions. Submit, resubmit, and submit again, okay? So let's talk about the pipeline, okay? You should have something that you are about to submit, okay? You should have something that is almost ready for submission. You should have something that you are starting, right? And you already have your ideas down and stuff that you have thought about, okay? The pipeline, okay? So stuff is always going out, so when you get a submission back and they say reject, depending on the feedback, you say I'm either gonna make the changes and resubmit, or I'm going somewhere else with it. Remember, we let dust settle on nothing. Okay, because as we look at this, what happens is there's always a home for good work. You just gotta find the right outlet for it, okay? Understand that your work will get rejected, okay? I want you to understand Lewis's work, Hancock's work, Tyler's work, everybody gets rejected. I know that's a shock, right? I'm shocked too. Why would they reject my stuff, right? Okay? But it happens, right? But you can't stop because of that. Find another home for it, okay? So you must be tenacious to be a great writer. Okay, and prolific. So as we look at this, then, for our conversation today, we want to open it up for questions because this is about you as well. So what we want to do at this point, we want you to think about if you can ask any question that you want to ask. I want you to put it down there, okay, and ask it in this form that we have, because as we look at this, given that if I could do it, you definitely can do it, okay? What is it that we need to know to put you on the path to do that, okay? And one of the things, if you really serious, I mean, if you're really serious, okay? Dr. Hancock and I will find a publication outlet for you, okay? Or just create, right? Okay, but as we start to look at that, we want you to be successful with this because Dr. Tyler would not have us come here, right? If we were not serious about that and the passion that she has for you to become producers as well. Okay? So let's open it up for questions. Hopefully you got everything down as well. So let's pose the question. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about, you mentioned earlier about finding what your passion is for your research and your writing. So say for instance, before you discovered what that was, you were writing papers on other topics. And they may be topics that have legs to them that could possibly, be submitted for publication. So would you suggest going back and looking at those and retweaking them to look for where that passion is, that you can incorporate that?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so the answer is definitely yes, and I'll let Dr. Hancock, he mentioned something like this earlier. So if you take some of your old work and think about the space that you were in then, may not be the space that you're in now, okay? But what you do is you think back on that work, and now that you know more, you say, wait, well, I wrote this paper in class. I could do something with that. Okay, remember how he used the analogy of STEM, but diversity pieces, okay? So when your mindset changes, it'll come in your mind while you driving. I remember I wrote that. It may not be necessarily good at that time, but now I can take this angle with it, okay? You wanna add on?
Right, and no matter what you've written, so if you've written that before, it still lives in your space of influence. You have to understand that. We don't write outside of who we are. We may not, like Dr. Lewis said, we can be in the ballpark and not on the mound, right? But you're still in your own ballpark. So yes, there are things I wrote in the beginning that was not where I am now, but it wasn't away from who I am, right? It wasn't exactly. So go ahead and publish it. If it's publishable, get it out there and publish it, right? And you're gonna continue to hone who you are and continue to evolve as a writer, right? So if you look at Dr. Lori Lassie-Billings' work in the early days, she has evolved into who she is today as a prolific writer, right? And so yes, so if you have something that's publishable, publish it, right? Get it out there, especially if it's impactful.
Your
Your
Other
university,
questions?
oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Your university, are you using your own internal review board that you've kind of established within your department?
For
Or
our
at the
people,
university
for the
level?
students?
Yeah, exactly.
Students,
I
yeah,
mean,
we have a
if somebody's
university.
graduating with 25 articles, who's helping her with those articles? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I'll say, you have your own internal review board,
Yeah,
essentially.
and we have a university IRB, you know, for, you know, protocols and
Right.
research like every university
Yeah.
has. But, basically, when we talk about system, okay, we created a system for them to flourish in. And so what I'm saying to you here, you don't necessarily have to have a faculty member to do that. Okay, what we're saying is this a group of like-minded individuals who come together and say, we want to produce. And that's all the condition that you need, and then you start to work out the strategy that we talked about of how you're gonna become a producer. Okay? So it can be student generated, because most of the ideas that come now, because, you know, so many students, you know, most of it comes from the students. Okay? So it's something to consider. Other questions? Yes?
Not from your presentation, but just a question. Is recording what you want to write a tool to be used for writing or not?
Well, I would say, my opinion, whatever works for you. Okay, so if you drive in the car, you need to, you know, say it on your phone and record it. Then when you get to your space, you know, then you play it back. You know, whatever works for you. Okay, and that's why I say you gotta find your own strategy of what works for you. Okay? Others?
I have one.
Yes.
A lot of people write. And a lot of people have these grandiose ideas about how well their writing is. What would be the first step to take in order to find out if what you write is publishable?
Okay, that's
Because, you know, I can write about, communities and education, how they influence one another, or how they distract one another. And if I write something, how do I know if that's, you know, an avenue that I can go down that would be publishable?
I'll start off and I'll let them add on. That's why you have to study the outlets in your field, right? So the journals or whatever the kind of protocol for publishing is, you have to know the topics that they are publishing on. Okay, so when you look at those journals and say, okay, I see they're publishing on this, you know, this is similar to the work that I do, and then you study those journals because then you know the format that they want it in. So as you start writing, you're not just writing blind. You're writing towards the submission guidelines of a particular journal. So like with our students, you know, they have to know the outlet where they're going with it before they even start, because it's kind of in that mode of studying the field. Okay, so knowing whether your work is publishable, okay, once you start looking at the guidelines, looking at other works that have been published, okay, then you start to generate how you want to put your publication together around what you have studied, okay? Because if you don't know the outlets and you don't know the submission guidelines, you're going to just be writing in the fly, okay?
So, I mean, just to add that, exactly what you're saying, you can write beautifully and you can write things that are prolific and you're happy about it, but if it doesn't fit the format, it's not gonna be published, right? So who decides if it's publishable? The publisher. Who are you trying to publish through? So having written in the top journal in all the world, the Harvard Ed Review, when I went to write for Harvard Ed, I had to really look at what they wanted, right? And write toward the Harvard Education Review's criteria. The topic, the research was there. We knew it was a good topic, we knew it was good work, but we had to focus strictly on Harvard Ed in order to get it into their journal. And so it's publishable based on who you want to publish with. So that's how you know. So look up the journal and go, nice, I wrote this, does it fit? If it doesn't, change the format and make it work for that journal outlet.
Other questions? All right, one more thing before we turn it back over. So, you know, being from Louisiana, I can't not bearing gifts. Right? So, a couple of things. One, for those of you who are in the field of education, raise your hand if you're in the field of education. Okay. One of the things we established in Charlotte we established a graduate student journal, right, to highlight the work of graduate students, okay? So, to promote what we're saying today, you are in the field of education, and you have passion for a topic, and you produce a potential publication, okay? We have the graduate student journal, and since, you know, Dr. Tyler likes you, right, you know, we'll strongly consider it for publication if it's good, okay? But it's to highlight the work of graduate students, okay, and they can work with other graduate students or their faculty advisor, but the graduate student has to be the first author on it.
Y'all should be shouting right now.
I'm gonna go one step further, okay? I'm just putting it out there, right, because we're serious about this, right? Okay? If you're really serious, okay? Okay, because once your mind starts working, right, education people will understand and meet people from other fields, and then they can join forces to produce publications. Okay, because you can't just stay inside the walls of your particular discipline, okay? Because one field has impact on the other, okay? So we're gonna put this out here, and I'm gonna say it in front of Dr. Tyler. She didn't know we were gonna say this, right? Okay? So we're gonna offer Tennessee State University a special issue in the graduate student journal, right? Focus, right? Focus. I'm bearing gifts, right? Focus on the research that is available in this room, okay? So we're gonna dedicate an entire issue of our graduate student journal to Tennessee State University, right? Okay? And based on that, okay, I'm gonna put the criteria out here, right? It can't just be education people, okay? We have to work across disciplines to produce it, okay? So Dr. Tyler just call us and say, okay, we got 12 articles, we got 8, whatever the number is, right? And this will be the jump start of your career, right? So you say you have a friend, you just became bearing gifts, right? And that could be your publication if you want, right? And we're gonna put it like this, right? You establish the timeline of when you're gonna get it to us, right? Okay. All right, now, I will say this, okay? Invitations are not open forever.
They sure not.
Right? All right. So, but here's the thing, and this is what we're gonna do, right? Here's one other criteria. My last criteria before I go sit down. Okay? Dr. Tyler cannot lead it. It must be student generated, and then she'll just tell us when it's ready. You communicate with her, but somebody in the room will rise up. Okay, so some people may not know what a special issue means. Okay, so I want to explain that. Okay, so in the publication process of the journal, you guys, they come out ever so often, right? And so in the special issue, right, you get to decide what the overall topic is and what the publications will be in the issue. Okay? And somebody will rise up to be what we call guest editors. That means they are responsible for not only producing their work, but making sure the work that is submitted is also of quality. Okay? And then, how many of you have created your curriculum vitae? Any of you ever heard that word before?
Yes. I know my students have a hand up.
Okay. Okay. What you're trying to do is get multiple line items on your CV. So you can have, so the person who rises up can be potentially 4 line items, or if you're thinking the mildest standpoint, probably about 10, right? All right. But let me just give you some examples, right? For the guest editor of the special theme issue, that's one. You may have to write an introductory piece to frame the entire issue for all the other publications that are coming in, right? Plus, the article that you collaborated on with somebody in the room that's not in your discipline, that's 3, right? Okay? Then you may write an epilogue to kind of pave the path for the researchers who are coming behind you, right? Then based on that, you go so far about it, you're gonna issue a report, you're gonna take this thing on the road, go to conferences, you're gonna write a grant about this thing, because now you are on fire, right? But we just put that on the table, right? So it's yours to choose, because see, let me tell you what's gonna happen, right? It's gonna sound good tonight. And tomorrow's gonna come. Oh, we really gotta do work. You know I'm stressed out, right? All right, so we came offering gifts, but this is for you because we are truly passionate about what we're doing, and we want to give you this opportunity because we know the opportunities are sometimes limited, and this will be the jump start of somebody's career and have you believe that you can write. Okay? So as we look at that, we'll step back. We'll just wait to hear from Dr. Tyler on if this is going to become a reality, right? If it does not become a reality, right? I have a few words. I met somebody else from Louisiana, you know, we have a few words tied to that, okay? All right, but that's our gift to you. So thank you so much for having us.
I am like in tears now. If you all could understand the magnitude of what he just provided us is phenomenal. Please don't take what he just said lightly. I am literally almost in tears. I want to thank you so much. So bear with me, a couple of housekeeping things. We are passing out an evaluation sheet. Some of you all came in after my initial introduction where I said how we really came about this. I'm Dr. Tyler, of course. I created 5 years ago the Graduate Student Speaker Workshop Series. And what that is I bring speakers in on topics that are relevant to graduate students. And so the evaluation that you are going to fill out, and please give to Erin before you leave, ask you about future topics. That's where I get my ideas in terms of who I bring, what I bring, how often I bring them, and all of that. So please, and they can be anonymous if you like. We take good and bad comments. If it's something that we didn't cover in this session that you felt we should, remind you again that there is another session tomorrow for graduate students. It was pretty much the same context in which was took place today. There's also a faculty advisor. And I put that in because just as we said at the beginning of the session, many of you talked about things that you were looking for. I do realize, being here at TSU, that we need to sometimes help our faculty members to help you. Okay? And so there is a faculty advising seminar tomorrow where we're going to talk to them about ways in which they can provide you the tools and resources that you need to be better writers. And then there's an undergraduate session as well. Second thing is, I need you to sign in if you do. Many of you are here as a class, and your instructor is asking for attendance. So make sure you sign in so that when your instructor asks us for who was here, you can be present and accounted for. We want to make sure that you are accounted for. I wrote some notes. I'm literally shaking. Got so much. So let me also say, going back, and I didn't want to interject while they were presenting, but let me just tell you one small snippet of my walk, and which literally probably changed my life forever. I tell this story all the time. I'm an engineer by profession. However, understanding when we talked about you can find yourself anywhere, engineering is my profession, but what I had a driving force, a passion that I still burns in me to today is African American females in the STEM area, and how stereotypes and identity has formed and shaped the way Black females see themselves within the STEM area. Okay, so I have a foot in education, I have a foot in the hard sciences. So I joined AERA, which is the premier grandfather of all conferences for educational researchers. I'm in Chicago. I'm a graduate student. I think I just started my graduate program. And in my program, it was required that a lot of the things they talked about today, it was required of us. We had to know the leading journals in our profession. We had to attend conferences. We had to present. We had to publish. That was like a no-brainer for when I went to Miami of Ohio, to do my doctoral work. And so I'm in Chicago, you know, not even no new doctoral student, but I just knew what I was doing. I'm walking across the street, and I'm like, if you know anything about AERA, it's a huge, I'm talking about like 16,000 people in attendance. It's me and two of my colleagues walk across the street. And we're like, this big old, we used to call it the telephone book, because the preceding conference thing was like this big. And we're looking. And we end up bumping into Dr. Hancock. And he says with his passionate love, he loves graduate students. Dr. Lewis does too, but I'm going to speak to Dr. Hancock because this literally changed my life and shaped me to who I am today. And our relationship has blossomed since then. Is he stopped and he said, may I help you? You know, what are you doing? You know, so he helped us try to figure out the hemp, whatever, asked us where we're from, and he went to Ohio State, so, you know, he's right down the street. And so we started talking about publishing, presenting, and so he talked about this thing at Ohio State, that even though we had requirements at Miami, I never heard it this way, what was it, 3-2-1? 3-3-3. At Ohio State, you had to come out with at least, I think it was any combination, wasn't it? Grants, presentations, publications, and combinations, 3-3-3. So nine themes on your CV, if you will. That stuck to me, and even to this day, you can ask my students now, they don't do 3-3-3, they do another number, but I still use that same concept of them getting out. 20. I know I need to bump mine up. That they must do that in order to get out. It is required. Darn right, it's required. I'm my thumb is on the back of their neck. It is required that they do this in order to get out. But that changed my life forever because ever since then, every conference, every AERA conference, we get together. I have a book, a chapter in his book. I mean, and I guess the point I'm trying to make is don't take what you learned here lightly. Please take what they're saying to you. You can be standing here in my shoes some years from now and think back of these two gentlemen or myself or whoever's in your circle, that circle he talked about, and then collaborating and say, I remember when they put in my spirit that this is what I needed to do. Because it's because of him that I am who I am now. I don't publish probably as much as I should because remember he talked about the publication and the money. I'm on the money side. So I bring in a lot of money to TSU. You know, and I could slap my hand, I can slap that I probably need to publish a little more than what I do, but my emphasis and my passion is writing grants. That's what I'm great at. I'm not good at it, I'm great at it. Okay, and so
Getting confidence.
Yeah, yeah, I'm great at it, you know, so and I probably could do better. So anyway, I want to just say, don't take it lightly what you're hearing here. I saw they had business cards. Get their cards, get their numbers, you know, and that's leverage. That's why we bring them these people, you know, people in to talk to you all. Not for them to come in to impart and then they leave. You know, the thing is for them to come impart in you all, and you all be able to still reap the benefits after they leave. Last thing I'll say, it goes back to, and I did not know he was going to do that, but this falls right into something that I have been thinking about as a passion of mine here at TSU, and it is to better the writing capacity here at TSU. The writing group that he talked about at UNC Charlotte, if those of you all were here earlier, heard me talk about how this cohort of writers, students that they had, is literally now becoming an international thing. I mean, people are seeking after them to come talk about this, I'll call it a robot of a weight machine that they got at UNC Charlotte. It is just phenomenal. And I would like to create that here. What we're doing now is, and you can let Aaron know as you leave out, we're looking for about 15 to 20 serious. Now this has nothing to do with what he just said, because I had no idea he was going to say anything about that special issue. But 15 to 20 serious, I mean, when I say serious, I mean when we say we're meeting at Starbucks at 8 o'clock in the morning because we're going to write, because we got a deadline on Tuesday, we're there. When I say we're going to get up at 3 a.m. because we're going to, whatever we're going to do, whatever it is, I want serious writers. I have, I pitched this to almost every graduate department, I think with the exception of one, we missed one upstairs. And I already have a waiting list of faculty members who are wanting, because we're looking for about 4 to 5 faculty members to create a pilot cohort of writing group here. And I've subtly mentioned to them about us collaborating with their machine at UNC Charlotte so that we can start doing stuff between the two universities as they meet, as they get research ideas and publication ideas, they can funnel to us. We can do stuff through Skype, we can do stuff through video conferencing. I've already identified a space where we're gonna be meeting, the group will meet. I mean, I am ready to go. I need serious writers, okay? Cross-discipline. You can always find yourself somewhere, as Dr. Hancock said. If you're interested in that, okay, or if you want more information on the writing group, please let Erin know, so she will circle your name or highlight your name on the sign-in sheet, and you will be hearing from me next week, because we're ready, feet on the ground and running. I was just waiting for them to come to lay this foundation, and then we are ready to go. And now, even especially now that he's blessed us, they both have blessed us with this opportunity of a special edition in that as a journal.
Can I add one more?
Please.
One more.
Please.
Okay. I'm feeling good. I feel the potential about what's about it. Right. Okay. So I'm looking forward to hearing about it. So in addition to the special issue, okay, if we develop that is and it's good. We just talked about it. Right now, I lead 2 book series with 2 different publishers. So what we're gonna do, if the special issue is good, we're gonna guarantee a contract for the book that will be based off of the special issue. Okay? So now you got 2 things.
Oh my
right?
God.
Okay, we're gonna guarantee it. So he's recording me on camera. So we rolling? Are we rolling? Okay. All right. So you're gonna get an opportunity for the book, right? And what I'm gonna do, okay, just to make sure it's good, I'm gonna email Dr. Tyler the book contract tonight. Okay. All right. And with that, right? All right. Now that you start your whole university initiative, and when she said the 15 or whoever the students, right? I want you to think about that seriously, right? Because this is your career, right? And what you want to do as well. So as you think about this, and think about, do I want to join or not, or do I need to wake up at 3 in the morning? I don't know about that. Right? I just want you to think about, like I tell the students, one decision from you could affect future generations of your family. Okay? One decision can affect future generations of your family. Okay? So I want you to think about, there's a reason why you came tonight. Okay? I didn't know you and you didn't know me. Right? So as you start to look at this, what we're trying to tell you is that the sky is truly the limit of what you can do. Because places we go now, I didn't grow up like this. Okay, and so my daughter's life and his kids' lives, the places they go and the things that they ask for when we travel is a question I did not even know to ask because of one decision. Okay, so I want you to think about that. So you see the passion that Dr. Tyler is bringing to the table. So I would want to say, I would say 10 to 15 is not enough. Okay, you can do better than that. Okay, so I want you to think about that as well.
And I would also say you're not only competing against people sitting in this room, you're competing against your residency tomorrow as well. So I mean, while books can't hold, the book series don't hold 30 chapters, there is a limit. And so your writing and your thinking and your passion has to be on point. And like I said, as we speak tomorrow, there's going to be a whole other group of graduate students who are also going to have this opportunity. And then therein lies your competition for the book as well as the journal.
All right. Fair enough. So as we look at this, one title and one flyer and give it. So some of the things we talked about tonight, I pulled together a group of some of the distinguished and endowed professors across the country just to talk to graduate students and junior faculty members of how to be productive. So we'll leave some flyers for the book up here as well if you want to put that on your shelf as well. But just think about it, like you said, if you don't want the opportunity, there's another group coming tomorrow, right? And we know when we get back on the plane and fly to Charlotte, somebody's gonna jump on. Just let it be you, okay? All right.
Any questions for me? Again, make sure you sign in, evaluation, we're here, we're, on our way to, I guess, dinner. I guess I may be the only one eating, everyone else could be sitting in this room, but we definitely have time, probably another 15 or so minutes afterwards. We need to probably leave out about 7:30 to get to dinner on time. So, but again, thank you so much, thanks for coming. Please sign in and submit your evaluations to Erin.
Yes, thank you so much.